Welcome to Rhythm. In this video, we're going to coach you on the most effective way to prepare for a weekly meeting. Now, weekly meeting preparation is part of your do the work rhythm. And we call this a weekly meeting with yourself. Now, the weekly meeting with yourself is critical to ensure you're making the right adjustments as you execute with purpose each week to achieve your goals for a successful quarter. Now, a wise man named Benjamin Franklin once said, "By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail." And that's the last thing we want to have happen to you. We want you to prepare well each week and succeed. The meeting with yourself is the single most important thing you can do to ensure you work and have purposeful accomplishment in a week. These meetings with yourself typically take about 15 to 30 minutes and are for the purpose of sharpening your saw, as Stephen Covey once taught. They should happen the day before your weekly meeting with your group. And you'll take that time to review the week that just ended and prepare for a great week ahead. Now, in this time, you're going to review how well you're executing against your KPIs and priorities. You're going to update your KPIs and priorities execution status. You're going to review your actions list, your who, what, whens, and you're going to plan your week ahead. And so let me show you how to do that in the Rhythm software. You're going to click on the weekly meeting prep icon on the navigation screen, and that's going to take you to your KPIs dashboards. And so what you want to do is update your status. So to update status for your weekly meetings in Rhythm is simple. You just hover over the status square just below the week number of the weekly meeting approaching. Select the status color and click Save. Very simple. 2 clicks to a status update. And you want to do that for each of your KPIs. Now, as you're updating a status, you want to be asking yourself a few questions. The first question you want to ask is, am I on track to achieve my success target, my green, by the end of the quarter? So this is John Sales. He's preparing for the weekly meeting, and he needs to ask himself, are we on track to achieve our $4.5 million in sales revenue? If yes, then you status green. If John was on track to achieve $6 million or more in sales revenue, he would have status super green. If he believed he was going to finish below the $4.5 million, but above his failure or red criteria, he would status yellow. And if he believed he was going to hit $3 million or less, he would status red. And so in statusing, you want to status your forecast of how well you believe you are executing to achieve your goal, your green criteria, by the end of the quarter. Now, if your green criteria were measured daily or weekly, so let's say 4 calls a week or 3 calls a day, then you would have statused the actual. How well did we achieve those 3 calls per day last week? Or our 4 appointments per week last week? But in most cases, your success criteria will be an end of quarter goal, and you want to status your forecast of how well you believe you're executing to achieve that goal. So you set your status, then click Save. Now, his KPI statuses are updated. If you don't own any KPIs for your group, this area would be blank. Next, you want to work your way down this left navigation menu and status any group priorities that you are accountable for, that you own. And so in this case, John has 3 group priorities. The first is to manage the sales plan to close 4 deals. So if he believes he's on track to close the 4, he'll status green. Next is to secure 4 $100,000 contracts. This is a company level goal for the quarter, or priority for the quarter. And so if he believes he's on track for the 4 $100,000 contracts, again, he'd status the green and move on. Next, you want to status your individual priorities. Now, individual priorities are your personal accountability for the quarter, items that you personally own and are accountable for. And in statusing those, you want to follow the same rule of thumb and work your way down your dashboard list. So if he believes he's on track to close the 4 deals, actually for the last 2 weeks he thinks he's going to close 6 by the end of the quarter. So he statuses super green. Next is this priority to close 4 accounts. Now this one's been stuck for several weeks in the quarter, and he's hit a bottleneck. And so at this point he's thinking he's going to have 2 or less, so he statuses red. Now, anytime you status an item red or yellow, it's important to open the individual priority detail for that item. So let's do that, and we'll click Save to save our status update. And add comments in the comments area as to why you believe this item is red and your proposed action plan to get to green. And that's what John has done in these comments right here. He says he's red because he's been distracted and he's given a proposed action plan to green. Now when you do this, other team members can see these comments and help you to get unstuck. And that's exactly what Jack CEO has done here. He's read John's comment. He says it sounds like a solid plan, and he's going to work with John to help move this from red to green. To add a comment, you simply click the new, and you want to indicate why this is red. And what is my action plan to green? And you really want to spell it out. Step 1, step 2, step 3, etc. Then you want to add that comment. And when you do, you'll see it in the list here. Now, this is the vital step to ensure you have a more productive weekly meeting with your team. You don't want to just show up to the weekly meeting and dump a red status item on the group. You want to take some time in this weekly meeting preparation to understand why this item is falling behind, why you're having trouble, what's the root cause, and what's a proposed action plan to get to green. So that when you're having a discussion in your weekly meeting with your team, they're going to help sharpen that action plan, and you're going to use the collective intelligence of the team to create the best plan to go from red to green. Rather than just showing up at your weekly meeting and talking about status updates. Everyone can see the status update. What they need to know is why it's red and what is the action plan to get to green. And you want to do this on every item that you status either red or yellow. Now we're going to return. We're going to keep statusing the rest of the priorities on down the list. Same methodology. Just set the status and move on. Next, you want to review your actions list, your who, what, whens. And you want to mark any items completed that you've been able to accomplish in the week. You'll notice items on the right are lit up red if the action list item is late. And so you want to refine and adjust this list to stay on track to achieve your priorities. Then finally, you want to plan your week ahead using these week in sync notes. Now your goal here is to document your action plan to have a great week next week. As you review your priorities and dashboards for the quarter, what do you need to get done next week? What do you need to do to advance to win your part of this 13-week race for the quarter? Can you visualize a successful week? Have you been able to achieve it? So if you can see it, write that down. If you can't see it, then think about your priorities. You should be able to visualize a successful week after you've written down these top things to accomplish for the week. And so as you think about planning for this week ahead, you click on this new item to get a new pop-up note. You want to carefully consider what priorities you should have next week and ask yourself a few questions to help come up with the right priorities for the next week. One might be, for my green or super green priorities, what can I share with my team to help accelerate their progress on their priorities? For any items that are red or yellow that I status, what corrective actions do I need to take as a priority this week? So perhaps some of those steps that you put in the comments would come into here as a priority for the week ahead. If you're stuck on any priority, who can best help you solve it? You want to indicate that here in the stuck area. And don't just limit this to your team members alone. It might be someone who's not on your team or even someone outside of the company that might provide you the help you need to get unstuck. And so after thinking through these things, you want to document that plan for the week ahead right here. And then finally, you want to complete this sentence. My week will be successful if. And this is your vision for a successful week. Now your brain is engaged and you're ready to have a successful week next week. And you type those notes in here and click the Add button to add that note to your weekly planning, your week in sync. Now if you'll have the discipline to follow these steps each week, The results you're going to achieve are more effective weekly meetings with your team where you discuss solutions to issues rather than just status updates. You're going to have a higher self-awareness as an individual as to what you can accomplish through your priorities and as a team. And you're going to have execution with purpose that's aligned to achieve your goals, which are also aligned to achieve the overall goals to grow the business. So thanks for watching the video, and I hope you enjoy using these screens to help you effectively prepare for your weekly meetings.